Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm Judge Executive David Vogel. We're happy to have you here today for our first meeting in August. This is August 4th, 2020. If you have a cell phone with you, I'd ask you to please turn it to off or vibrate. Our procedure here now is to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're all adults in the room here, and we have our seats marked for social distancing. Everybody has their option to leave their mask on or take it off because we have everybody far enough apart. Do whatever you feel is comfortable and appropriate for you. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Harrison.
Here.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Holmes.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Here.
Magistrate Dye.
Present.
Magistrate Logston.
Here.
Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion or additions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll have Denise Clark, our clerk here, read the minutes from our last meeting, which was on July 21st.
July 21st, 2020, the Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Albert Harrison, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hounds, Stephanie Hawkins, Bob Dye, and Michael Logston. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Likens to approve Denise Clark as Fiscal Court Clerk. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Likens to approve the agenda as submitted with the addition of J, Magistrate Communications. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting minutes from June 29th, 2020 were read and approved unanimously. There was no public comment. The following sealed bids were received and opened for the courtroom video recording system: Justice AV Solution, $77,461.57. The following sealed bids were received and opened for the Buckner Soccer Field Drainage Improvement Project: Louisville Paving, $442,000. The following sealed bids were received and opened for the Goshen Hills Drainage Improvements Phase 1: All-Terrain Paving and Construction, New Albany, $429,345. Flynn Brothers, Louisville, $374,596.12. Louisville Paving, $427,000. Rotor Construction, $407,069.20. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Likens to award the bid for Dispatch PTP Simulcast Microwave Network to Radio Communication Systems for $60,697. The following sealed qualifications for architectural design of new animal control building were opened and read aloud for the record: Architectural Investments, Louisville; BDA Architecture, Albuquerque, New Mexico; JKS Architecture, Hopkinsville; JRA Architects, Louisville; K. Norman Berry Associates, Louisville; LMH Architecture, Louisville; Mitchell Allen Ritz Architects, New Albany; Potter and Associates, Louisville; Rauhaus Friedenfield and Associates, Boston, Massachusetts; Stephanie Gilbert Architect, Lexington; Studio Kremer Architects, Louisville; Work Architecture and Design, Louisville. Pewee Valley Fire Board Chairman Joe Burkhart and Chief Bob Hamilton presented information related to its ad valorem tax rate and fiscal year 2021 budget and responded to questions from the court. Oldham County Health Department Director Teresa Gamsky provided an update on the cases of COVID-19 in the community and communicated the recent changes in guidance as cases increased due to travel outside the state and large gatherings of people in the county. Ambulance Taxing District Board Treasurer Steve Turover presented information related to its ad valorem tax rate and fiscal year 2021 budget and responded to questions from the court. Motion made by Magistrate Hound and seconded by Magistrate Tice to approve the payables as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hawkins and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to declare surplus the list of parks and recreation property with the intention to sell at public auction tentatively set for Saturday, August 15th, 2020 as submitted. Community business. Amy Alvey presented for first reading proposed ordinance number KOC 20-928-68 relating to a change in the Oldham County zoning map rezoning a 2.11 acre tract located at 5701 and 5801 Hounds Lane, Louisville, Kentucky, from the existing R2 residential district zoning classification to I1 light industrial district zoning classification as submitted. The second reading public hearing is scheduled for August 4th, 2020. Contract agreements resolutions. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Tice to authorize the Judge Executive to sign resolution number 01-07-21-2020 relating to the continuity of government for Oldham County with the correction to change the listings of magistrates to be identical on pages 2 and 3 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to authorize the Judge Executive to accept and sign the closeout report relating to the tire collection grant as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Tice to authorize the Judge Executive to sign the consent and release forms relating to the Goshen Hills Drainage Improvements Phase 1 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Likens to authorize the Judge Executive to sign the pre-purchase authorization form relating to the Park and Ride in Crestwood mowing and landscaping maintenance as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to authorize the Judge Executive to sign the contract relating to the CARES Act funding as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Personnel actions, maintenance. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Likens to accept the retirement of Kenny Randolph, effective 7/31/2020 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Planning and Development Services. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to accept the termination of Darrell Townsend, effective 7/17/2020 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Road Department. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Likens to accept the promotion of Ben Kimbler to interim road superintendent at $26.19 an hour, effective 7/15/2020, not to exceed 90 days as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Harrison and seconded by Magistrate Likens to accept the promotion of Sidney Funk to assistant superintendent at $25.25 an hour, effective 7/15/2020 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Police. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to renew the school resource officer contracts effective 8/1/2020 as submitted for Matthew Cornell, Joseph Dennis, Gregory Ford, Michael Head, Matthew Lay, Jim Latham Jr., Thomas Moore, Larry Simpson, and Tracy Witt. Motion carried unanimously. Magistrate communications. Magistrate Harrison spoke to communication as it relates to the magistrate's work within their respective committees. Magistrate Harrison encouraged each committee chairperson to deliver committee meeting notices, agendas, and minutes to all magistrates. Magistrate Harrison suggested the committee should periodically report to Fiscal Court. Judge Executive Vogel acknowledged it is a good idea to share committee meeting minutes. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting adjourned at 4:02 p.m.
You've heard the reading from our minutes on the 21st of July. Is there a motion to accept?
Second.
Judge,
Got it.
one correction.
Magistrate Likens.
Under the bid award for dispatch PTP on the page 1, is not noted that the motion passed. I don't know if that's a typo or I shouldn't think she just left that off.
We'll change it.
And Judge, on the second page under county administrations, the same thing has occurred on surplus property. There's no accounting for the vote.
All right. Both those motions passed. Right, those will be
Yeah,
corrected.
but just for the record.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Anything else? Hearing nothing, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Time now for public comment. That's the time during our meeting when anyone who's come before fiscal court who's not part of our regularly published agenda is able to address the fiscal court. And see Becky Zockline here. Go ahead, Becky.
Thank you, Judge. I am happy to announce that the recycling center will reopen on Monday, August 10th. It will be open from dawn to dusk every day, 7 days a week, beginning Monday. The barriers will be removed. All the materials that we have accepted historically will continue to be accepted. That is cardboard, paper, plastics, rigid plastics, and metals, electronics. We will not accept any items that are in a plastic bag or encased in plastic in any way. So if you bring your recyclables to the recycling center in a bag, empty the bag into the appropriate container. And if you have beverage containers that are shrink wrapped and they have a cardboard base, take the cardboard out of the plastic and then put it in the cardboard container. That's all I have. Any questions?
All right, so recycling start next week, next Monday. Anybody? Okay. We're happy to be able to do that at this point. All
Thank
right,
you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Beck, on the plastic bags, we still want to encourage people to use plastic bags to put items into the garbage cans at home, though.
Correct. We should always bag our trash, not our recyclables.
Got it.
So all the recyclables going to the recycling center and into your curbside bins should always be clean and loose. But your trash needs to be bagged. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the fiscal court at this point? Seeing no one, I'll close public comment and go on. The first item on the agenda here is from the county clerk's office, quarterly report that I sign each quarter. I don't think there's anyone here from the clerk's office to give us a report on that right now, so let's bypass that item and go on to the sheriff's 2019 property tax settlement. Lori Parson, welcome.
Hello. Yeah, I'm here to present the 2019 tax settlements broken down into all the different districts, where, as you can see, each page gives each district the money that, how the taxes was brought in, whether it was under real estate, franchise, or tangibles. And then the second section will show you the credits that were allowed, which that'd be the commission, the discount, and then the refunds. And the refunds are based on homestead, disabilities, agriculture, and the homestead is you know, people 65 or older who qualify for the refunds, discounts. And then with that, you can actually go back 2 years on refunds if people didn't realize that they could qualify for that. So that's where that amount comes in. I know it's kind of confusing for everybody if you don't know much about the franchise or the delinquent bills, but if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Right. I'd like to just make it perfectly clear here. The sheriff collects property taxes for the public entities in the county. In 2019, the sheriff collected $83,513,495. The sheriff's office, by law, is entitled to subtract In this particular case, roughly $3.3 million from that is the sheriff's, which goes to help operate the sheriff's department, and that leaves all taxing districts getting about $80,185,000. So that's one of the principal occupations and duties of the sheriff, and he executes that well with his staff. Does anybody have a question here for Lori? All right, is there a motion that I sign this report?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Lori. The next item on our agenda is a report from our Oldham County Public Health Taxing District budget and tax presentation. Happy to have Director Teresa Gamsky here. Teresa, welcome. And I know you've been here frequently lately, Oldham County Fiscal Court participant because of COVID. Before you start, do you want to give us a brief update, if you can, on where we are?
Glad to.
Maybe you intended to do it at the end, but
Doesn't matter to me.
okay.
Okay, hold on, remember that then. Thank you, Judge and Fiscal Court. Thank you for your service to our community. Today, the Oldham County Health Department is reporting as of 9 a.m. this morning a total of 590 reported cases to us. Within that 590, that includes 170 KSR prisoners. Currently, staff is not, KSR staffing is not in that number because they live outside of the county. We additionally have 50 long-term care cases, and that does include residents and staff that, again, would live in Oldham County. So with that total, we have about 370 cases that would be considered community spread. Currently to date, it saddens us to report that we have a total of 14 deaths, 7 in long-term care, 5 in corrections, and 2 in the community. It is our understanding additionally, before I left the office, we had about 40 additional KSR reports come to us, so that number will be increasing as far as KSR cases as well. Currently, the state of Oldham, we are 9th in the state for case numbers. That's not something we want to be number 1 in by any means. To our understanding to date, again, not including prisoners, we've had approximately 35 people that have ever been hospitalized. Of the prisoners, at least 20 plus of the prisoners have also been hospitalized. Today we have a little bit of good news. We think we are coming out of the surge that we have experienced for the last 2 weeks. Our positivity rate has been decreasing for the last few days, and today it's at 5.18. Just last week it was almost at the 6% mark due to those surges. We believe those surges are due to our community travels and of course social events and that type of contact. Oldham County is considered in what we call an accelerated spread, and that's based on the number of daily cases. So the accelerated spread is 10 to 25 cases a day, and we're running, we've run closer to the 10 to 15 case a day, but today with all the KSR reports, that will definitely bump up our average and setting in that. With that, I will say that the other counties surrounding us are also in this accelerated spread. Jefferson, Henry, Owen, Shelby, Spencer, Anderson, Scott, and Fayette are all also in this accelerated spread, with some of those counties on the upper end of 25 cases per day, and some of them just on the edge of being in a critical spread. So we're watching those surrounding counties. Also, it's very prudent for us to watch the numbers in Jefferson County. As we know, 80% of our residents work in Jefferson County, and so we want to we are working with them and staying in collaboration and on top of those cases. Just a reminder to the community, we're continuing to do contact tracing. We are actually increasing in cases that have declined to cooperate in contact tracing. And I will remind the community again that contact tracing helps you prevent transmission of this virus to other family members in your household. And that's what we're seeing in some of these households. You know, one person is infectious and is not isolating, and so the remainder of the household is becoming ill as well. So we help you prevent that when you work with us. We also connect our residents to resources for food, housing. Perhaps they are living in a living situation where they have the ability to isolate. We will assist them with that. And of course, assist them with access to health care if their illness begins to worsen. Also, in the next few weeks, I think we're going to see some changes in our region regarding testing. I know Oldham County, well, I know the health department, we've started testing again. I think we've kind of gotten over the hump of just being overwhelmed, but there's a lot of other sites that are opening up. But soon our capacity will shift. We're using a diagnostic lab called Gravity Labs right now, which the state is paying for at a cost of about $1 million a week. To have access to testing that returns in about 48 hours. By the end of August, that contract will end, and the state will most likely have us begin to submit our collection specimens to the state lab. So we're expecting that transition coming soon. Again, we are seeing a lot of community spread. We are working extremely tightly with the schools to assess the situation in Kentucky. You know, if you look at some of the data, Kentucky is lighter than all the states around us that are experiencing a lot higher positivity rates. So as we see people traveling into Kentucky from those other states, that is continuing to kind of spur this transmission there. Judge, that's all I have today. Would you
Right.
all have any questions?
Let's go another path here for just a second. Last week, you and I issued a joint statement, let's say, discouraging people from attending the Oldham County Fair. I think it's fair to say that it's honest to say that the Fair Board has not listened to us and has actually launched what might be considered a public relations initiative in response to us to encourage people to come to the fair. Would you please tell us why you and I issued that statement?
Yes, sir. Well, one of my first concerns that was shared with the Fair Board is that, again, the carnival workers or the organization coming in to provide this attraction has most likely traveled from those high-risk states in which the governor has recognized. Those states are running in the 15 to 20% in a positivity rate. And so those folks most likely have traveled from those communities and those environments. So that's one of my concerns. I'm hoping that those people are behind the scenes and not interacting with our community as little as possible. One of the concerns we had especially was who was going to monitor the mask issue. Of course, it's an outdoor setting, which is always the best setting, but who's going to be monitoring the mask situation and controlling the gathering? And we did not hear a reasonable answer on that. Well, I just think it's almost impossible in that type of setting to manage and monitor that. We can barely monitor it in controlled settings. So in that setting, we were very concerned. They say they're cleaning between rides and that type of thing, so I would really encourage, if any families are attending, please make sure you're washing your hands frequently, using hand sanitizer, and wearing a mask when you're around someone that you do not know or people that are outside of your household. Anything?
Right. Right. They did present a plan to try to have people have identify themselves, wear masks, have hand sanitizer out there, sanitation by the carnival company. but nevertheless, the sum total of the circumstance, trying to purposely attract a large crowd to a small, relatively small space, and then will those people conform? The circumstance seemed to present more risk than the reward of having 4 days of carnival rides. So I realize that people who work at the fair need jobs and employment, and it's complicated by the fact the state fair is still going forward with the same ride company. So I did ask the governor about it during the conversation, and he said he would recommend not attending the fair. He didn't tell me I had the authority to stop it, or, but it was clear it's just a risky situation. So we want people to know if they go, protect yourselves. We're not encouraging you to take the chance, but some people will. We see it on all over the place that there are some people that just do not agree with what others are suggesting under these circumstances, and they're going to chart their own path. So they have to be responsible. With school coming up here in Oldham County, many people come from Trimble, Henry, Shelby County to attend this fair. Yeah, we just don't know. It just seemed like an unnecessary risk to be taken. But they're going to proceed anyway, and I would like us to be wrong.
Absolutely.
We took the cautious, and we certainly hope that we turn out wrong.
So we will know that, Judge, in about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks, right, okay. All right, thank you. Now, maybe, does anyone have any other questions for Teresa? Proceed with the other reason you came here today.
So I believe in your packet you have the Oldham County Health Department Taxing District FY21 budget. This budget has been approved by the Oldham County Board of Health. You can see under revenue, we have collected approximately $1.8 million. We also have some of our funding in earned CDs that are earning interest and working for us. And then how the health taxing district works is that out of this budget, then we appropriate a certain portion to health department operations. So you can see this next year, we would expect to move over $1.3 million in that regard. So I'll also show you the health department budget, would kind of help you understand how that flows there. But you can see the 1.3 million in our local tax appropriations there. I will tell you that the health taxing district may be different from any other taxing district in the fact that as a health taxing district, the purpose of this taxing district is for exactly what we're experiencing today. When we have a contagious disease in which we need to curtail normal public health operations such as immunizations and family planning and those type of services, we aren't drawing down income during that. You can see in our service fees that we work hard and we draw down as much money as we can from those federal and state funding balances that we have, and we also provide and do services in which we earn insurance revenues, Medicaid and Medicare revenues as well. So you can see on the service fees of if we don't have that income, that affects the operations of the health department. So with that said, that is the purpose of the taxing district, that we can operate and deal with any emergency or disaster or contagious disease event without working for those service fees. Additionally, Judge Vogel, normally we present a public health resolution that is signed by the Commissioner for Public Health, And due to COVID, those resolutions are delayed. So we will get that to your office as soon as we can.
All right, thank you.
Is there any questions about the Health Department budget or operations? Yes, sir.
Magistrate Hounds.
So the testing and the stuff that you're talking about being paid for by the state, obviously is not coming out of this, but how is COVID affecting what you had planned to do? I mean, obviously the budget was started pre-COVID, but how is COVID making the changes, I guess, or making it, I'm not going to say easier because I know that's not the case, but what changes can we expect to see going forward, if any?
Right. Because of the CARES Act funding, I don't think we're going to see much impact at this stage. You know, we haven't really been performing those additional services since March. And so, you know, sometimes insurance payments are, you know, quite a few months behind on that. So we still are ending the year very well positioned. So I'm not too concerned about going into this next budget year with that CARES Act funding. I think to date we have received approximately $200,000 in CARES Act funding, and we understand we'll be receiving another allocation for a different purpose in the near future. So financially, I don't think it's going to affect us right now unless we get to the point where we just see continued issues with this. If we don't have a vaccine by the end of the year, then this would probably continue, the response would continue into the next year, which is somewhat expected as well.
As far as the staffing goes, I know you've got the contract nurses for the testing because we've had that conversation, but how is that affecting the other services and getting those done timely? And you know, I know there were some people that were upset because you stopped doing testing for a short period of time, but then when it was explained that you had to take those folks and put them into immunization so we can get school started,
right? That
process, that disconnect had to happen because we have to work on getting schools open.
Right. We wanted to take our nurses, health department nurses that were tested, we wanted to quarantine them a couple of weeks before they started giving babies shots and make sure everything was safe there. So it took us a little bit longer for that transition. But staffing-wise, that is where I feel like Oldham County is positioned for growth. Our Board of Health has done an amazing job navigating all the pension challenges. You know, for the past 6 years, really, we have been on a skeleton crew. We are Oldham County Health Department, and for the last year, the maximum staff we've had is probably 21 staff for a population of 70,000 people. So we are positioned that we need to grow our staffing and the appropriate expertise moving forward for today's challenges, because this whole pandemic has shifted the trajectory of public health, I feel. You know, in the past 2 years, we had passed the public health transformation legislation, and that did bring us back to our core purpose, which is disease mitigation and that type of thing. So that was extremely timely, but with that legislation, funding did not follow that. So we're looking at the budget projections next year, we don't think the state's going to rectify that anytime soon with their budget issues. But as far as Oldham, we feel like we're really positioned for growth, and it is time for growth. We really need that additional staffing in our facility to meet the needs of our growing population as well.
So on Wednesday, I don't know if there are any other magistrates that were part of the conference call that the Commissioners and Magistrates Association put on, but they had a bunch of your colleagues on there talking about the Board of Health and how it relates to not only the pandemic, but what's going to happen someday. We call this day two. When that day two is, we don't know when that's going to be, but it seems like that you guys are in the spotlight now, and the conversation was, remember this day, because when day 2 happens, they're still going to need funding to do other things to get ready for the next, I'm not going to say pandemic, but the next like
Right.
scenario. But the Magistrates and Commissioners Conference, or conference call, if you guys and ladies like to see it, I know that JC said it's going to be recorded, it'd be available. It was a very good conversation about public health and the future of public health. And there were a few counties that expressed dire straits issues, and I'm glad to hear we don't have those same problems that the other counties are experiencing.
Right. And I will say that the reason Oldham County is in a better position is because of our tax base. And our tax base is good because we have good schools. And so it's important to continue, to support our schools in that way as well. But some counties are in dire straits because they don't have that solid, growing tax base. Yes, sir. Judge, I will add, I don't think I stated, the Board of Health did determine to keep the taxing rate at 2.5 cents as of last year as well. So that would remain the same.
Right. All right, Teresa, I'd like to thank you. This may not be your last appearance before a fiscal court, but it's certainly one of the last, and Teresa is going to be leaving by the maybe end of October, but it's a little open, but the board, the Health Department of Health, Board of Health is advertising for replacement. We're sorry you're going to retire. Or transition to a different lifestyle or whatever, but you're sort of going out with a bang here if you, with the COVID. But
Yeah.
but anyway, we appreciate all you've done for the health department.
Thank you, sir.
Over certainly the last 10 years or a little bit longer. I'm not sure exactly how long it's been. I think it's 11 years, right?
Only
so,
seems like 20.
right. Right, so we'll probably see you again before you go. But
Yes, sir.
I know this is your last tax presentation, so we thank you for that and wish you continued success. Yes, sir, Magistrate Lawson.
Yes, thank you, Teresa, for your service you've done for Oldham County for all these years. I really appreciate it. But the 593, is that 593 number? I think it was 593. Is that from February 2nd till now? Those aren't active cases right now, right?
No, I estimated this morning we probably have a little over 100 active cases, not including the prison.
Okay.
Active cases in the community. Yes, sir.
I really want to thank you for everything you've done for Oldham County. You've been a great asset to us.
Pleasure. Yes, sir. You all need to take care of our kids in the community, so I'm counting on
Magistrate
you.
Harrison.
Thank you, Judge. Teresa, thank you again. I know you get the accolades for what you've done, but we don't need to overlook your staff
Oh,
because
absolutely.
they have done a tremendous job over there under some really bad circumstances. And they deserve our appreciation and gratitude as well.
Absolutely. Yes,
Thank you.
definitely a team effort. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We'll see you soon. Let's keep our fingers crossed that you and I are wrong about the fair. Hope everybody comes out okay there, even though we're very concerned about it. The next item on today's agenda has to do with a bid opening, and we'll ask our county treasurer, Melissa Horn, to come forward. This bid opening has to do with road construction in Oldham Reserve, Eden Parkway Phases 1 and 2, and some median modifications in the LaGrange Parkway medians. So we'll go ahead and open those now and see what happens. And if you're wondering where this is, if you're out heading toward Rawlings, you go past Rawlings, that's Eden Parkway, but there's a roundabout area further down that road past Rawlings, and we're going to complete the roundabout and extend that road to intersect with Eden Parkway. All right, this is Dan Christiani Excavating of Clarksville, Indiana. $2,876,713. This document is from Flynn Brothers of Louisville, $2,920,299.53. The third bid is from Louisville Paving, $2,740,000. This bid is Mack Construction. $3,050,000. Final bid, I believe, isn't it? Okay. The final bid is from S. Walk Incorporated, doing business as 7 Cs Construction, $3,492,998.98. All right, those are the bids, and Ms. Horn will take those, and our engineering department will look at them, and our road committee make a recommendation.
Where are those last two companies from?
Pardon? I guess they were from Louisville, is that correct? Okay. Moving on, the next item on the agenda is county administration. We have our 2-week bills to pay.
Judge, I make a motion, we pay the bills.
Second.
Any discussion on these bills? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now for surplus park property here, I believe we have an additional item that has been added to your agenda here from the Parks Department. We have an auction coming up. What day is it, Kevin? August 15th. That will be at the Old Road Garage Department location on Highway 393, opposite the Oldham County High School football stadium. We'd like to add, there's a number of items, cars, mowers, other things we have to be sold. We'd like to add this item, Dixie chopper. You see a picture of it there. Is there a motion to surplus this item?
I'll make that motion, Judge.
Second.
Any discussion on it? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda has to do with the second reading of a public hearing on a zoning map amendment for 5701 and 5701 and 5801 Hounds Lane.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
I will recuse myself from this.
Right. I believe two of our magistrates have connections to this property, so they will leave the dais. You can leave the room if you choose. It's not entirely necessary, but you can. Because this is a public hearing, we will take testimony for and in opposition to this. But first of all, we'll have Amy Elvey review the petition and the request with the court.
Sure. Good afternoon, Amy Alvey. I'm the Assistant Director for Oldham County Planning and Development Services. As Judge Vogel stated, this is the second reading and public hearing for ordinance number 2092868. This is an application that was filed by Carl Hounds Jr. and family for the approval of a zoning map amendment on approximately 2.11 acres. The property is located at 5701 and 5801 Hounds Lane in Crestwood, and the existing zoning is R2, and the proposed zoning is I1 Light Industrial. This is an aerial view of the property outlined in red. This is Hounds Lane here. This shows the current zoning. So this is one tract of land that has two different zoning classifications on it. You'll see this area in purple is the I1, and then the yellow area is the R2 residential. This is the future land use map, so this is a planning tool that we use that's part of our comprehensive plan. You'll see the surrounding area is shown as ag rural with the existing property zoned industrial. So regarding site history, on October 28th of 1975, the Oldham County Planning Commission recommended approval of a zoning change from R2 residential to I1 light industrial on 6 acres of the 8-acre tract located on Hounds Lane. That was docket number 491. On November 3rd, 1975, Fiscal Court approved that zoning change request. So this was the layout, which is current today, but this is the layout that was done at the time of the original zoning change request. Other site history: in July of 1994, the Oldham County Board of Adjustments approved side yard setback variances for building additions. Permits for the buildings were issued in error in 1990 by not requiring the 75-foot side yard setback when industrial structures or properties adjoin residential. So the proposed additions were interior to the site, did not encroach further into the setbacks as the original buildings, so that variance was granted. So it was for this building here, highlighted in blue. So this is just kind of a comparison to show you on the actual aerial versus what the drawing that was submitted. The areas highlighted in blue were the proposed additions that were caught when they came in for a building permit, where the original building permits for this building were issued in error. So that's all been cleaned up as well. And then finally, on May 26th of 2020, the Oldham County Planning Commission recommended approval of a zoning change from R2 residential to I1 light industrial on the 2.11 acres on a vote of 12-0. The Planning Commission also approved a residential use waiver and side yard setback variances and a development plan. So again, the applicant is proposing to divide the tract. Tract B is 2.928 acres, and that Tract B contains the 2.11 acres that is the subject tract to be rezoned from R2 to I1, and is also the location of the single-family home that was granted the residential use waiver pending the zoning change approval. The structures located on the proposed Tract B were also granted the following side yard setback variances. Again, minimum side yard setback in I1 light industrial is 75 feet when abutting residential property. So this is the proposed new layout. You'll see this is the current zoning line there. So the Tract B is the tract that is highlighted in green. So the structure to the rear is a storage building. It received, I believe, a 3.2 foot variance, and then the existing single family home was granted a 37.5 foot variance. Again, because if the zoning is changed to industrial, those structures have to be 75 feet from the side yard. So this is a picture of the existing home at 5701 Hounds Lane. So this is the area that got the 37.5 foot side yard setback variance. This is the south adjoining. So this is as you are coming from Highway 22 down Hounds Lane. This is a view. So this is the dash line there. That is the property line. This is the north view on Hounds Lane. So you can see the concrete plant across the street. This is the west view. Tract A is currently zoned I1 light industrial and is approximately 5.461 acres and will be leased or sold to a landscaping company that will utilize the existing storage and office buildings on the site. With the proposed division line, the applicant was also granted a side yard setback variance of the office and storage buildings of 11.3 feet. So this is Tract A that is highlighted in the blue. And you'll see the structure that's highlighted in green there. That is the structure that received the side yard setback variance. This is a view from 5801 Hounds Lane. There's two entrances. There's one entrance that goes to the residential home, and then there's one entrance that goes into the commercial side. This is the area where the division line goes, and the structure, the corner of the structure that received the setback variance. So this just kind of gives you an overview of what the division is, and as well as the little green circle there that shows the area of the setback. So this is just looking internal into the site of Tract A and the existing structures located on that. Again, this is the west adjoining property. This is the view from the second driveway that goes into the commercial or industrial use side of it. This is the west view, so this is across Hounds Lane that again is the concrete plant. So in the justification statement that was submitted with the application for the zoning change, the applicant stated that the zoning change in no way could possibly harm the public safety or welfare, as the structures are existing, and the adjoining uses such as the concrete plant are more likely to be harmful than the proposed use, and the proposed uses are less impactful, and the proposed zoning change and development plan are in compliance with the goals LU 3, LU 3-1, LU 3-2 of the comprehensive plan. Binding elements run with the development plan, not with the zoning change. However, the legislative body approving the zoning change may add additional binding elements to the plan. The 3 that were added to and approved by the Planning Commission is the plan applies only to the plan applies only to the plan presented at the May 26, 2020 Oldham County Planning Commission public hearing. Number 2 is a minor plat must be submitted for review and approval to planning and development staff. And item 3 is the development plan must comply with all established federal, state, and county ordinance and requirements at the time of the approval, including lighting and landscaping for any new structures. So again, if fiscal court feels that they should add an additional binding element, they so can do, but these are tied to the development plan. And that is all that I have.
All right, thank you, Amy. The next presentation will be by a representative of the applicant, and I assume that's going to be Barry Baxter here. And Barry will have up to 50 minutes if he needs that much time.
Hopefully I won't need that much time. Judge, your permission to remove this?
Yes, absolutely.
A whole lot easier to talk without that on. Judge, I'm Barry Baxter. I represent the applicant here. Present with me today is Bob Vincand, who is our engineer. And if there's any questions about the layout itself, Bob can explain that. Essentially, what we have is a situation where there is about an 8-acre piece of ground that has split zoning. I'm sure many of you all have been up and down Hounds Lane. I'm certain that Magistrate Dye is very familiar with where this is. There was a truss plant on this property for a number of years that was operated by members. A different wing of the Hounds family had leased this property, and that truss plant unfortunately went out of business. When that went out of business, it created a situation where we have this piece of property with the split zoning. Mr. Hounds Sr. resides in the house that was depicted on the property that we want to have rezoned, and that was the reason for the waiver. That waiver, one of the things that we talked about is that he is going to occupy that house for the remainder of his life, but that upon his death, that house will not be used for residence any longer. And so the residential waiver will basically expire when Mr. Hounds passes away. The weird line that Amy has showed you all, and how do I? Well, I can use yours, actually. So this drawing is a drawing that essentially shows the line that was put on there by our engineer. And the idea here is to allow the property that is in the left, that is 5801, to be sold to a landscape company. We have made arrangements with them to convey this property. The property on the right would be retained by the Hounds family. The property to this immediate right here, this is owned by the Hounds family as well. This is part of the Rock Springs property, which is it is other members of the Hounds family and members, this group of people all own that together in a corporation. So that has, those are the folks that are involved. Obviously, across the street, there's the concrete plant. When we made our presentation of planning and zoning and we talked about Hounds Lane is very unusual from the perspective that you have residential, you have industrial, there are commercial outlots that are for sale at the end of Hounds Lane at 22. You have Poplar Hill subdivision immediately behind here. There is farming that goes on this tract right here. There's a stone quarry further down. There's a model home around Hit Lane. There is a new storage facility for campers and trailers that's going back in there. You've got your wastewater treatment plant that's back there. So there's all kinds of uses up and down this lane. And as you
cemetery.
Cemetery, yes, sir. And so, you know, immediately across the street from the residential portion of this property are those storage buildings that are located on this, right here, on the concrete company's property. So there's a lot of different traffic that goes up and down this road. And so what we're trying to do is get this property all zoned industrial and then get us in a position that we can sell off what is here on this odd line here. The odd line, and Bob might be better off to explain this than I am, the reason for this is, if you all will recall, well, you can see it here. This is the existing zoning line. We have industrial potential uses in the buildings on the left side. There are supposed to be, and you all have been in there, I think, haven't you? There's supposed to be walls inside these buildings that restrict this part to industrial, and this is the family uses for storage. So that's obviously a pretty confusing and difficult situation to deal with. Further, just from a marketing perspective, if you were to try to sell this piece of property, it'd be very difficult to sell a piece of property that you got buildings that are zoned on one half are zoned industrial, and on the other they are zoned for residential use. So the family wanted to get that cleaned up, get this all zoned the way it is, and then in order to accomplish that, unfortunately, we have to have this odd property line that Mr. Vincent put on our drawing. And when we were in front of the Planning Commission, we had to get the variances that Amy talked about, because number one, if you all approve the zone change, we have created non-conforming buildings here and here. Likewise, you've got a situation right there with, if we move the boundary line, that's going to be too close to the property line. So we had to address a number of things when we went in front of the Planning Commission. Really, that's essentially what we're trying to get done here. If this is approved and once we sell that piece of property, the family's intention is to retain the I portion of this property. Obviously, at some point after Mr. Hounds passes away, there may be some other use that they want to put the property to, but that's really what they're trying to do. His wife has already passed away, so he is the sole survivor that owns that property, and then they transferred the property to his children with a life estate retained by Mr. Hounds. So that's why the application is Carl Hounds and family, because they're the remaindermen for the purposes of estate plan. And I'm more than happy to let Mr. Vincent answer any questions that you all may have. That, I think Amy, as always, she makes my job very easy, because she comes up and does a great job outlining what we're trying to get done. But we'll be glad to answer any questions you all may have.
All right. Thank you. Is there anyone here today who wishes to speak in opposition to this requested zoning change? All right, seeing no one, I believe at this point we can close the public testimony to this and go to the court. Is there a motion that we put this on the floor for consideration?
Judge, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance KLC 20-928-68, zoning map amendment on 2.11 acres at 5701 and 5801 Hounds Lane. I guess with the reasoning because the application is consistent with the objectives and the comprehensive plans such as LU-3, LU-31, and LU-32. And the site is consistent with the request compatible with the variety of uses in the surrounding area.
I'll second it.
But, Mr. Logston, does your recommendation include the
My
variances?
recommendation is to approve the zoning change.
Right, and that includes the variances, correct?
The variances and the residential use waiver went with the development plan. Only thing that is before the fiscal court today is the zoning change.
Okay.
Okay,
All
so
right.
to approve the zoning change.
All right. Been moved and seconded that this zoning map amendment at 5701 and 5801, or 5801 Hounds Lane be approved. Is there discussion among the magistrates? Magistrate Dye.
I got a couple questions about the property. I guess, Barry, I guess you would probably be the most likely person who can answer this. You've got, from what I understand here, this area right here, you're gonna sell all of that, correct?
That's the intention, yes, sir.
All right. Now, the person that you're selling to, the landscape company, they're already using that property, correct?
I believe they have leased that property with an option to purchase it, yes, sir.
Now, does the, and if I'm asking a question I shouldn't be asking, just say I can't answer that. Does the deal not go through if you don't get the zoning change?
I didn't prepare the lease, so I can't, that is a question I truly cannot answer because I was not involved in that part of the transaction.
Okay. But they can continue to do what they're doing as they're doing with the zoning as it is, correct?
Yes, sir, but because that property, that part of the property is already zoned industrial, yes, sir.
Okay. My concern is these buildings over here, they're not in real good shape. And from what I can see, because I drive the road, as you pointed out, fairly regularly, you know, they're not supposed to be where they're at, but they're there. They're going to eventually fall down if there's not some major work done to them. So that's going to open up a lot of ground here. From what I see down here along the roadway is, and it was in some of the photographs that Amy put up there, I see where they're using the property for waste material, like tree stumps and limbs and stuff. They've done a landscape job and they've pulled this stuff in there to dump. I'm concerned about this whole area, and I don't know the correct definition for it, but it looks like to me that whole area there could turn into, for lack of better terms, a construction and demolition landfill.
Well, I don't think that is a permitted use, and if that is your concern, that would certainly be a matter to take up with code enforcement.
Yeah, right. But isn't the material that's there now, I'm just concerned about what's there now and more of it being put there, because it said in the plan here that they're only going to have 3 to 6 cars a day go in and out of that facility. Well, I know that particular landscape company's got more 6 and 7 vehicles themselves.
Well, and I guess I think the response to that is, you know, we're talking about, and I understand your concerns with the north side. We're talking about this part. So if the application indicates that that's the amount of traffic, that's relative to the
That's just
property
relative to that.
being rezoned. Yes, sir.
There was some of the stuff when you read it, is always read.
I understand it. Let me tell you, this may have been the most confusing application I have been involved in, and I've been doing this for a long time.
Because we don't normally see this type of thing without some sort of a development plan. My concern is up here, the property that's on, I would say, is on the high side, and down here along the road, that's the low side. So all the water, all the storm water is running to Hounds Lane, and it's dragging a lot of that silt, dirt, whatever, from the construction debris or landscape debris out onto Hounds Lane. Hounds Lane, as it says, you got a 30-foot right-of-way, and you got a concrete truck, you got a dirt processing center over there, a lot of triaxles, a lot of concrete trucks. As all of this stuff begins to silt down from that side, the road's continually getting more and more narrow. And that's not these people's concern or the interest or even, responsibility. My concern is if they're going to do this stuff down here, why can't they put it on the back of the property instead of right along the roadway? And I know that you're only talking about this.
Well, and not only that,
But
I understand your concern. What I'm going to tell you is I don't represent Zeppa's.
right. So my concern about it is that this sale is going to go through. What this goes through, that may or may not be contingent on. So I'm just, I'm not against what you're trying to do here, but I think I just want to be on the record saying that I see this as a more of a potential problem because if you, as you said, it's a comical read. Back in 85, was it, that they did the original zoning change?
75, I think.
85 and then 94.
Yeah, they said back then, one of the people, I won't say their name, said that Hounds Lane was a horrible road then. And it's even more of a horrible road today.
Well, and I know you all have many times addressed issues as it relates to things that are occurring on that street. And you've had hearings over subsurface mining and things like that, and that road always is part of the issue.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify exactly what this and that had to do with that, because it wasn't, to me, abundantly clear. Okay?
I understand.
All right. Good job as always. Thanks.
Thank you.
Magistrate Hawkins.
When the buildings were constructed in the current R zoning, were the buildings constructed within our planning and zoning regulations?
Those buildings have been there for a long time. I think the answer is yes, but
Correct.
They were?
Yes.
Okay. And back in 1994, it was stated that the applicant would make a commitment to provide a buffer to reduce the noise levels for the adjoining residents within 90 days. Do you know if he kept up with that, and is there a buffer to the?
there was not a complaint filed about that. I think that was done, so.
There's landscaping along the back side of the property there. Their concern from reading the historical minutes and stuff was that this was a trust company and the forklifts beeped when they backed up throughout the night. And so for safety reasons, they couldn't turn down the beepers on the forklifts and stuff. So they had requested an additional hearing to have an expert come in about the sound and everything. So they did do additional plantings along the rear.
And then my last thing was, in our binding elements, it says, the third one, the development plan must comply with all established federal, state, county ordinances and requirements of the time of approval, including lighting and landscape for any new structures. And I'm wondering if we should have the one that is regarding the current structure, especially when the residential use of the house becomes no longer applicable after the applicant passes away. So if that, there's nothing preventing them now, right, from, say, adding on to the house or making the house a different use than, I mean, does anyone know what I'm saying? So. Repurposed, thank you, Magistrate Dye. So for any repurposes of the house, as it's in an industrial zone, the binding element I'm requesting is that whatever that use is of that house, not only of the two buildings, but of the house, come before the Planning Commission as it's repurposed.
There would be only if the house, which I think I have a zoomed in picture. There's only 37 feet between the house and the property line. So they would not be allowed under the current zoning regulation to do any additions between the house and the current property line now, because they already received a variance for that. So if they had to add additional parking, say they changed it into some type of office that had required more parking and things of that nature, they would have to meet the parking requirements and the screening requirements with like ILAs, which is internal landscape areas, and islands and things of that nature, if they were required to do that under the review of a site plan.
And the light.
And the what?
She's asking about
And the lighting as
And the
well.
lighting.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Okay. I guess I would like to see it in writing what the future use of the house will be after he passes away.
I don't know, and
Yeah.
I don't, Mr. Hounds is elderly, but, I mean, I think he's in pretty good health, so I can't tell you if it'll be, you know, how many years he might live after.
Right. What is his desire for his home now, if it goes into the I zoning after he's gone?
I think this is more of an effort by he and his family to clean up the zoning. He is gonna continue to live there.
Right.
If he were to get up here and talk to you, he would tell you that the storage buildings right now, he has a collection of antique fire trucks that are inside that, stored in those buildings, and he doesn't have any place else to put them. It's one of his passions. I think his son also enjoys that with him, so that's what they use the buildings for as it is now. He you know, he doesn't have any place else to put them. He wants to keep them there. That's what, so he's not even thinking about that from his standpoint, the future use.
The future use of his home?
Yeah, he's beyond him living there. No, he's not. Mr. Hounds isn't. The son, CJ, lives next door, and and I showed it before. This area is owned by the Hounds family, and CJ lives. I'd have to slide you. He lives a little bit to the south. His house is located on the same street and fronts on it. So you know, he is kind of the family member that is the one who is shepherding this whole project, the son CJ.
If they were to build it up or build it out, say across what looks like to be a driveway, or change it in any way, because it's in the I, it would be in the I zoning, they wouldn't have to come in front of planning and zoning or us.
Well, they'd
Is
have
that
to get a
correct?
building permit though. And so if those requirements that Amy's talked about came into play, they might have to.
Right, there are trigger points of what requires a site plan. So any addition over a certain percentage, any change in use that requires additional parking, all of that, and then those trips, the anticipated peak hour trips determines what the reviewing agency is. So an example is if it's under 20 peak hours, it's reviewed at staff level. If it's up to 100 peak hours, it goes to staff and technical review. If it's over 100 peak hours, it's staff, technical review committee, as well as the planning commission. So there are markers or indicators in place of who reviews it and how it gets reviewed.
Okay. So you think that, would it be of your all's professional opinion that there are buffers in place to protect any neighbors as the use changes for the house in the future?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Magistrate Tice.
I'm not sure it's an important question, but is there going to be any property transfer of this after the zoning or a result of the zoning change, or at this point it's still going to remain owned by the same peoples?
Well, so the area, and it's easier to see on the screen here, the blue that's on the screen, which
Yes.
is this tract.
Yes.
My understanding is there is a lease with an option to buy for the landscape company to purchase that. And that's why magistrated has this odd boundary line. So it's divided so that they can retain a portion of it. The family is not going to sell the it started out at 2.11, it's almost 2.5 acres. So this is going to be retained by the Hounds family. And the intention is that they want to sell this tract to the landscape company.
Okay.
But they've got to get this all obviously done to be able to do that, to have permission to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else have a question on this application? All right, seeing none, it's interesting that, 45 years ago, somebody came in here to start getting something done, and it's quite a long time later. Time goes by, but we still have the records. So I appreciate that, and I won't ask why this is called Hounds Lane. I think I have a fair idea here. Apparently, they've owned this property for a long time. I'm going to ask our clerk now to please call the roll.
Magistrate Likens,
Yes.
Magistrate Tice,
Yes.
Magistrate Harrison is
Oh,
abstaining.
he's gone.
Recused.
Magistrate Greenwell,
Yes.
Magistrate Hounds,
Also abstaining.
Magistrate Hawkins,
Yes.
Magistrate Dye,
Yes.
Magistrate Logston,
Yes.
Judge Vogel.
Yes. Motion passes 7-0. There were no objections. All right?
Be
Thank
excused,
you,
then.
fellas.
Be
Pardon?
excused?
Yes, ma'am, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda today has to do with contracts and resolutions. We have under Section D here, a biometric screening resolution. Yes, they should. I don't know exactly where they are.
They're on their way.
Okay, good. We'll just have Tina hold on for a second here.
Thanks for wiping that off.
Judge, did we have to pass anything as regards to the binding elements? I know we didn't change
no.
them, but,
The binding elements run with the development plan.
okay,
So only you would have had an action item if you would have added
right,
more.
okay.
All right, we'll wait for our magistrates to rejoin us who are, now here comes Magistrate Harrison. All right, thank you. Well, you can, go ahead. Sure, go ahead. I think the Human Resources Department.
Authorize you to sign the agreement with the on-site health solution as submitted.
Second.
All right. Motion made and seconded that I be able to sign this agreement with On-Site Solutions for biometric screening for Oldham County employees. And we'll have Ms. Schaaf, would you like to tell us what this is?
It is an agreement with an on-site health solutions company. They're going to come out and give us some biometric screenings. Normally, our employees go out and get their physicals from their doctor, or they go to little clinic. We ask them to do that every year. Because of the COVID situation, we have some people that aren't able to get into their doctors, and some that they're just not able to get in. So we scheduled this company to come out and go ahead and get those biometric screenings complete, so the employee can get that checked off as their wellness program participation, and get their wellness statuses up higher. So we have them coming in. It doesn't cost us anything unless people don't show up, which I believe they're all going to show. We have a lot of people that are already signed up to go. We have to have 12 a day, and we've got 12 for one day already, and I believe we have like 4 for another, but I'll send it out. We'll get them there. We might need even to have more.
When does this start?
We're going to have it on Friday, this Friday.
Okay.
And it's from 7 to 11. I believe it's Sign Up Genius. I sent out an email for everyone just to pick a slot and sign up for it. And then also on the following Tuesday, the 11th. So we have it in the morning because fasting is required or recommended, so they can get accurate results. And they'll go ahead and upload those results to the employees. They'll send the results over to Go 365 for them, so they can get their points.
And we will get a copy of those also?
Yes.
Okay.
The company gives them to you right then. So.
Magistrate Tice.
Obviously, it may cost the county something. It doesn't cost the county anything?
Does not.
So even if we may be up with our doctor's test, we could still come in and do
You could, or the reason that someone who has already had their physical might want to come in is if they had their physical earlier in the year and their doctor made a recommendation like, I need your cholesterol lower, or you need to lose some weight, or something like that. If you come in and you get the screening done and you've met those goals, then you can get some points for that. So they can also be used for that purpose. So you might be able to get some more points that way.
Measure die.
Tina, I'd like to applaud you on doing this because me and you had several conversations about my physician retired, and then one of the people in this group took over. Then he retired, and then when you try to find a doctor, it's hard to get doctors that want to, at least it's been my experience, want to break up their day to do a physical. They like to do them, they like to group them all in a certain month, it seems like. Well, sometimes that month or 2 or 3 week period in a year is not always convenient for this particular plan. So I went to the little clinic, and much quicker, much easier, to be quite honest. But this would even be more quicker and more easier to get this done. And of course, when you get this done, you get those points, and those points are worth something on the wellness program, not only to the employee, but also more people in the wellness program. Correct me if I'm wrong. It also keeps our premium down for the county. So
Correct.
it's
Yes.
a win-win, and it just takes a few minutes of your time. So I would encourage anyone. I would encourage you to see if we could do this yearly, because I think it would make at least me happy anyway. So thank you.
Measure Hawkins.
No cost to the employee, correct?
There is no cost. It is filed through the insurance. Okay. And so the company will file it through Humana.
Measure Greenwell.
So Magistrate Dye, I thought for a minute we were doing this all because of you, but you went ahead and got yours done anyway?
Well, this hadn't hit the screen yet. She hadn't got to that yet. I was the motivating factor because I kept complaining about I can't get this done in time, and
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Well, I hope you get to utilize this.
Measure Hounds.
Did they extend our points deadline?
We did. We extended it to the 25th. The county has August 1st as the deadline for you to reach silver status to get your bonus money in your HSA or your expanded HRA plan. The county, we're going to waive that and extend it to August 25th because Humana pulls our numbers for renewal on the 1st of September. So
If I already did it and I do it again, is there any benefit?
not really. No, you just did yours. If you had done it
Yes,
like
I just did it before August the 1st, I would get my points.
Very good. But yes, if you had done it a couple of months ago and there were some goals that you needed to reach, you could do it again. I mean, you can do it again, but I don't know that it'll benefit.
He's trying to lower his cholesterol. Is what he's trying to do.
I came in, never mind. So you made a comment and it just dawned on me. Could we think about doing this in the future in, say, February or March? Only because it may make sense. I don't know if we can do it, but you brought up a point about if you met a goal. And I was thinking if we do this earlier in the year and then we come back and do it again, if we can make it that there's no cost, we may be helping the employee
reach some goals.
Reach their goals, both for our wellness program, but for themselves. Because, I mean, some of us only get this tested once a year, I just do it once a year.
Exactly. The initial thoughts behind the annual physical was we wanted the employees to form a relationship with their physician. So doing this makes, this is awesome because people are still going to get checked, but we really wanted them to have a.
Okay, I see
So
what
we
you're
are
saying.
kind of coming in now because the numbers aren't matching where they were last year in participation, and it's because people can't get in or they weren't able to get in. So now we're trying to do a push to at least get them.
And I will tell you, I did the little clinic thing too, and it was, the hardest part was getting the appointment, and that took 10 minutes. Otherwise, it's very painful. I mean, very painless.
Painful. Yes.
Measure Logston.
Can we throw antibody testing in there?
You are on that antibody testing, aren't you?
Okay, we've had a motion and a second to participate in this. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Next item under committee recommendations, we have the dispatch step plan. Tina?
Yes. Before you all is the step plan for our dispatchers. We originally adopted one in 2018. So this is a revision from that. It's we've increased the starting rate 15%, and as you see to the right, those percentages will be given as the dispatcher gets more experience. So.
All right, Magistrate Logston, you.
Yes, Judge. Human Resources Committee recommends that we approve the dispatch step plan effective 8/16/2020.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion. Magistrate Helms.
I should know the answer to this, but I don't. Is there a certification or something that we can ask the telecommunicator to get past telecommunicator 2?
You know, I don't think.
He's shaking his head, yes.
Yes, well, that's news to me. So.
I guess my question is, and I think 5 years is a good number, but does it make sense? Can we or should we build this out even more so that we can encourage employees to further their education? Because I think the more education they can get, the better dispatcher we're going to have. I mean, that's in theory. I think Tim's got a comment.
There are higher. There's telecommunicator positions that are higher than telecommunicator 2. So as they would earn those, I would assume that they would move up on that.
Tim Keel, dispatch director.
Tina is correct that there are different levels past 2, all the way up, I believe, to 5. There's an accreditation or accreditation, however you say that word. As far as we get a couple of dispatchers that are working toward that. As usual, the issue is most of those classes are in Richmond. That's not something we can do online. So you have to go to a week class here or a 40-hour, and then some of them, Mickey's taken a couple of them are 80-hour.
But are those counted towards your in-service hours that you have to have?
No.
They're not? Okay.
Very few of the classes that you speak of count toward your in-service, same as the PD. You might do this to, like, say, accident reconstruction for the PD. That doesn't count for your in-service hours. And I may have the class wrong, but most of the in-services, Kevin, is that correct? Am I saying that correctly? Your police in-services don't, I'm sorry, like if you were to go to school for your accident reconstruction, that doesn't count for your in-service hours. Okay. Same with dispatch.
Okay. I mean, I'm okay with approving this today, but does it make sense to build it out past 5 years?
We can look at that, I suppose.
I'd like to ask you to not use your masks when you're up in front, because it's a little, I'm not sure everybody can hear you clearly.
So this is just for telecommunicator 1 through their certification to 2. So if we need to, we're fashioning it as the police step, the police lateral step plans as they get their experience in. So if there's some certifications at the telecommunicator 2 level that they could get, I would say we would go forward with it. But this is just to keep them here and give them more money as they get their training and stay here for the first 5 years.
Okay.
So.
I think you understand where I'm trying to go. I think,
exactly.
I agree with what we're doing. I got no problem with that, but if we can build it out more, it makes sense to me. And if it doesn't make sense to you all, you're living this, not me.
We have a little bit before we get to that point.
Okay. Okay.
But yes, I do see what you're saying.
Judge?
Yes, sir.
Between the mask and the conversation here, the telecommunicator 2, like you got 1 and then you got 2. So what gets these raises? You got 2, 2, 2, we got more 2s. Those numbers are 2s only because the rate increase is only because of years of experience. It has no other additional certifications. They go, if they got one, and then they move to a certification 2.
Telecommunicator one will come in.
Tim, will you step up to?
A tele one will come in, like, if we hire someone new, they come in as a tele one. Once they go to we do some training in-house first. Once they go to Richmond, to the 6-week academy, 5-week academy, when they graduate there, if they successfully do so, they'll come back as a tele 2. And again, with our approval after that, we just don't say, well, you got the certification, you're a tele 2 now. No. They come back, and after a certain amount of time after their school, they'll come back as and upon our recommendation to HR, we'll make them a tele 2. If that makes sense.
That's why you see the 2 steps for, the 0 to 1. Those first 2 steps are 0 to 1.
So when they come back from the academy, if they go on the first day they're here, or a year later, when they come back out, do they automatically roll to 2? Or you choose at some point in time?
We choose. The state says, I believe, it's 6 months, that if we hire somebody, I have to send them to school. Obviously, it's pre-COVID. I have to send them to school within 6 months. So that gets them acclimated to NCIC, Lincoln CIC, and then the way we, obviously DOCJT can't take 50 people and teach dispatch school. It's quite honestly, they can hit on the high points, but they do their learning at our place.
Okay.
Our place in Jefferson County, so to speak, 2 different beasts, so to
So when you're moving up to the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th wage bump, that's only becoming because of your seniority.
Correct.
Now, you had mentioned, that's where my confusion lays, is you said there were some other things they could do, but they have to go to school to do it.
Yes.
Does this here take that in consideration
No,
if
sir.
we were to do it?
It does not.
But there would be an additional salary if that did occur.
I'll leave that up to Tina and the court, but yes, I see what you're saying, but that step plan does not.
In other words, I'm looking for not only seniority,
Right.
but also improvement in their skill set.
Right.
And, I think we should pay for that, Okay, I'm straight now, thank you.
Okay.
All right, we've got a motion and a second here. Seeing no further questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, I'd like to ask Ms. Schaaf to go through our recommended social distancing policies.
Before you all this afternoon, there are 2 policies, one for social distancing and then one for the virus, bacteria, and disease control. For our return to work guidelines that we sent out to everyone in May when we came back to work, these items were covered, but we feel like we should put it in an actual policy format and have it so everyone's on the same page. So those that maybe had got the email or the memo, back in May, it's actually detailed here on what social distancing is, what's expected for both, for social distancing and for the bacteria and virus control. It's basically proper hand washing, coughing and sneezing techniques, and pretty much everything that we've been discussing since March.
Judge, Human Resources would like to recommend that we accept these social distancing policies that Tina has in front of us, please.
Okay.
Second.
Moved and seconded that the social distancing policy and the virus, bacteria, and disease control policy be added to our, is it our administrative code?
The employee handbook, I'm sorry.
Employee handbook, all right.
Discussion.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Under the workplace control, I'm looking at the virus, bacteria, and disease control. The last one is use online meeting applications or software in lieu of in-person meetings whenever possible. Do you think that and this is a question for the judge, do you think that will apply to us as the COVID cases rise?
Well, this is social distancing for employees. We're all elected.
Right. Right.
I can't answer that.
I guess what I'm asking is, do you think we will continue in-person fiscal court meetings?
Yeah, you're asking me a question I can't answer.
Okay.
I hope so.
Gotcha.
I hope so. And, you know, first one of us that gets something, we'll go back to Zoom, but we're okay here now, I believe. So we're distanced, and we hope we can be, because our meetings are much more effective here than on the screen. Magistrate Greenwell.
Judge, on the social distancing on the fourth bullet point down there, it says limit of one person per county-owned vehicle unless otherwise approved. Should something be put in there about if the people wear masks, they could travel to a vehicle or something like that? I mean, does that make any sense?
That was the language originally, which was you need to wear a mask. If you can't social distance, you need to wear a mask. And I think that applies. Maybe we could beef it up on that fourth bullet point as well. But I think it says that everywhere you're not able to social distance,
Well, then that would cover it then.
But we probably could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Magistrate Harrison.
Thank you, Judge. 10 under workplace control, one of the bullet points is do not use public water fountains. We've got several. Have ours been turned off, or are they still operating?
I do not know. I don't believe they're being used. I've been meaning to stop by there.
I'm not sure. I have never used one in 10 years.
But we do have
We
people
do have
coming
them
in.
here, and they could be, I think they could be turned off. I don't see any maintenance people in here.
I'll check
but
with maintenance.
Okay,
for sure.
thank you.
I have seen situations where people take a clear garbage bag and put over top of it and tape it so that you can't use it. Not very attractive, but functional.
Right. It's an idea. All right, seeing no further questions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now we're at some personnel actions. Again, Ms. Shaw.
Are we doing the virus bacteria, or we do that all together?
We just did it all.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I wasn't paying.
For your personnel actions today, we have a couple of items in planning and development. We have a resignation from Scott Thompson. I think everyone knows that. That was July 17th. And do you want me to do them together, Judge, or separately?
Why don't we just take the whole 9 yards here?
Okay, then we have a new hire for the administrative assistant 2 at $16 an hour effective tomorrow, and her name is Brianna Haichu.
And then you have a resignation.
Oh, you want to go all the way through? Okay. Dispatch, we have a resignation of Tara Phillips, and that was effective July 20th. And then for Parks and Rec, we have a rehire for Justin Goodlow as a building monitor at $7.55 an hour, effective today.
All right. Magistrate Logston, Human Resources, support these? Is there a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded that we accept these resignations and a new hire. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And I have an appointment here to this is a reappointment of Donald St. Clair to the Henry County Water District Board, Water District Number 2. Mr. St. Clair has been on the board. Henry County doesn't extend deeply into Oldham County as far as water district is concerned, but does provide some service to some of our residents. So is there a motion that we reappoint Mr. St. Clair?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Judge?
Yes, sir.
If Mr. Sinclair continues to stay on this, he might want to update his bio and the letter instead of Judge Murner, you know.
Right.
I saw that. It's, you know, it's, it's an old bio, but nothing's changed, I guess. I don't think we have anybody in here for public comment, so I'm going to take a moment in this position before we have the magistrates, you know, close things out. Well, Teresa was here earlier, Teresa Gamsky. She mentioned that we've had 6 inmates at Kentucky State Reformatory pass away with the coronavirus. And I believe we had, did she say 11 or 12 Oldham County residents, including the husband of one of our employees here. It was a very unfortunate circumstance, and we're sorry about that. In the past week, we've also had 3 other people pass away that I'm aware of, and there may be others in the county, not from the COVID virus. One did, but 2 others did not. Life is very fragile. We go about our daily business, take care of our tasks, and jostle back and forth with their responsibilities, duties, and opportunities. But, it's amazing how fast someone can leave our company and be gone. In the new lexicon of computers and so forth, that is what might be referred to as a hard stop. Bang, that's it. One of the people we lost this last week was Hazel Tucker. Hazel was the wife of Bill Tucker, longtime Oldham County magistrate. I'm not exactly sure how long Bill was here, but I'd say at least 20 years, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Bill provided through Bill's efforts, he provided a great deal of building guidance on properties we have across the county. And, his wife was ill for a number of years, and he took very good care of her. And we certainly extend our deepest sympathy to Bill Tucker and his family. A young lady that passed away, some of you may know her, many of you may not, but Laura Mason, 51 years old, leaves a couple of kids and a husband. Laura was a wonderful young lady whose life did not, extend as far as we might hope. She's had cancer for some time and lost her battle yesterday. So I'm very sorry for Laura Mason and her husband Mike and the family. And then all of us have probably heard about Jeff Fusen. Jeff was an extremely popular minister at the Foes Church on Centerfield Drive, who lost his battle with the COVID virus. Jeff was just a great guy. Many people knew him. Everybody liked him. He was a wonderful addition to our county and will certainly be missed. And he was about in the mid-50s. I'm not exactly sure. He might have been 56. Pardon? Is that correct? So these are three people I'm personally aware of. Some of us know them. Some of them may not. There may be others. But let's take a moment of silence and remember these individuals and all families who are suffering from the coronavirus, a loss, or just a pure loss. Thank you for your consideration. Now, we mentioned earlier the Oldham County Fair is underway. If you go to the fair, we urge you to wash your hands, wear your mask, social distance as much as possible, hopefully completely. It's an event that is going to be very attractive. It has a lot of colors, a lot of lights. A lot of kids are going to be asking their parents if they could go to the fair, and the parents are going to have to make a decision on whether or not that's a good idea or one they need to explain that they just can't go this year. So regardless of what your decision is, we don't want to tell people what they have to do. We'd like to offer what they can do if under the appropriate circumstances. We're a light touch community and don't really want to force people into anything they don't want to participate in, but I personally think it's a poor idea to attend the fair this year. So now I'd like to see if any of our magistrates have any closing comments for today's meeting. Magistrate Likens.
Well, thank you, Judge. Just wanted to let the other fiscal court members know that I intend to put together a report of the Building and Maintenance Committee and what we've talked about for the last several years. I know we had the issue of the John Black Civic Center expansion that will be fully explained for the court's consideration, along with other projects that we're considering, such as the new gymnasium, and there's on and on. We could go on. I think we have 17 county buildings now, but at Mr. Harrison's suggestion was a good one. That I know what goes on in the 3 committees that I serve on, but the other 5 or 6, sometimes we just leave that up to the good minds that are running those committees, and we just don't know what all they do, and I think that was a very good suggestion.
All right, thank you. Measure Tice.
As I think about the virus and the things that are going on, we need to stay diligent in being careful, wearing our mask, staying 6 foot. We don't want to get lax because that evidence is that it comes back. So we just have to hang in there for a little while longer until we get the medication. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Measure Harrison.
Thank you, Judge. Only news from District 3 is that the bridge on Highway 1488, otherwise known as Oregon Creek Road, has been completed. The road's open again, and everybody's happy. The military observance days between now and our next meeting include today, which is Coast Guard Day, and August 14th, which is Navajo Code Talkers Day. There's a great movie out on that. If you've not seen it, it's really inspirational. The highest notable date will be Friday, August 7th, which is National Purple Heart Day. On that date, in 1782, George Washington established the badge for military merit, the forerunner of the Purple Heart. The award, as we know it today, was created in 1932, the bicentennial of Washington's birth. The National Purple Heart Hall of Honor estimates that roughly 1.8 million Purple Hearts have been awarded, and I'm proud to have one of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service. Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. We will now have one more meeting before school starts, and the school date, the school starting date has been pushed back to the 24th of August from the 12th. To say that it's a fluid situation would be an understatement, but I believe our school board has a plan in place, and we will proceed because I'm a firm believer that these kids need to get back in school for the ones that feel comfortable in doing so.
Thank you. Measured Hounds.
Nothing today, sir. Thank you.
Measured Hawkins.
I wanted to reiterate that the recycling center is open starting this coming Monday. That's all.
Measured Dye.
For those that didn't know it, Oldham County made the local news with the car break-ins out off 42. I preach this all the time that the Oldham County Police caught, I believe, 3, and I think more than 4 or 5 may have gotten away. But you know, when you only got two officers, can't chase 7 people. That's a little kind of hard to do. But the bottom line is, if you don't want your stuff stolen, take it out of your car. Don't leave it out in the open. Put it in your trunk. Also, with my district abuts the Jefferson County line, I get information from the Metro Council person over there that they have the same problem because these people don't know the difference between Oldham and Jefferson County. There's not painted on the street. And they are reporting people leaving weapons in their cars, and weapons being handguns of certain types, automatics and revolvers. So if you got a weapon, a laptop, purse, Rolex watch, whatever, you got more than me, but put it away. Don't leave it in your car because someone's going to come get it. Thank you.
Thank you. Measure Logston.
Want to make sure that everybody stays safe out there. I also hope that we're wrong about the fair. I hope we're totally wrong. It worries me. I'm 100% behind the fair. I think we've had county fairs since the beginning of time. I'm 100% behind it, but this really does worry me. It doesn't worry me too much as far as the kids that are going to go. It worries me of their parents they're going to take it home to. That's what worries me. I know it's controversial in the county. Some people for it, some people aren't. So I'm going to make half the people mad. I'm going to make half the people happy by saying this. So, but it really worries me. I have an 85-year-old mom. That's what scares me. It's not, and after Jeff passing away this week, and Laura and Mr. Tucker's wife, it kind of brings it home to you. So just please be careful out there. Please wash your hands and please try to stay safe.
All right, thank you. All right, do your best to stay safe. We wish everyone a very happy and prosperous August. Summer's moving on, school's about to start. Oh, Mr. Carter's got something he'd like to add today. Thank you.
Well, I have something to say today.
Okay, good.
I'm following up on what Magistrate Dye said. We have juveniles coming from Jefferson County in a stolen vehicle, and they stole a vehicle here, and they have guns. And that's the second one this weekend. They're breaking into cars, but they're also stealing cars. The other one before that, the officers stopped them, and there were 2 stolen cars. They stopped them in the car, and there was a loaded handgun in the glove compartment. So if you be sure you lock your cars, but don't take any action, call the police, because they may all be armed and armed. So that's just my recommendation for now. But the last one, I don't have the full information on, but they came out here in a stolen vehicle and stole a vehicle at Oldham Oaks, and the police caught them in a high-speed chase. So be careful and don't try to approach these people on your own.
It's good advice. Just lock your car. We put billboards out to that effect, and I'm under the impression that the people breaking into cars are not breaking windows, they're just checking door handles. You know, if they catch your door open, they're going to go in there and take what they can that is worth something. So I have no idea why it's so hard for people to remember to lock their car, but spread the word. Somebody, a stolen vehicle with a gun in it is a dangerous combination for certain. Thank you for being here with our fiscal court meeting today. We appreciate the pleasure to serve our community. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Hey, Chris, when are we going to meet on this?